Some new reaction today to two remarkable headlines. The first, a prominent Reagan-appointed judge slamming Republicans for their rhetoric around the January 6th insurrection. Senior U.S. District Judge Royce Lamberth cited what he called preposterous claims from lawmakers, including Andrew Clyde, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Elise Stefanik, who said rioters behaved in an orderly fashion and referred to defendants as hostages. Then the second headline is from a member of the Proud Boys who took selfies in the Senate gallery during the riot and was sentenced to 6 years in prison on Wednesday. During a prior hearing, he told a federal judge, quote, "You could give me 100 years and I would still do it all over again." I want to bring in Miles Taylor, former DHS chief of staff in the Trump administration and co-founder of the Future U.S. It's a think tank that's launching this year in Washington. He's also the author of Blowback, a warning to save democracy from the next Trump. So, Miles, two of those headlines there. Your reaction to what the judge said?
Well, look, Judge Royce Lamberth, I think, was really spot on when he says this. And as you noted, we have to keep in mind, this is a conservative judge. It's not a Democratic appointed judge saying this. This is a Reagan appointed judge calling out the extraordinary rewriting of history, in his words, that has happened since January 6th. And I think there's a couple things here that are worrying. First and foremost, the sort of permissive attitude that the Republican Party and Republican leadership has taken towards criminality is, I think, setting the stage for the possibility that something like this might happen again. But I think it's also undermining Americans' confidence in the rule of law. And you see how astounded some Republicans were behind the scenes when this shift started to happen. And that shift started to happen as soon as 2 weeks after January 6th. And Liz Cheney writes about it in her book, saying that she and other members of the Republican caucus were astounded when Kevin McCarthy went down and did a photo op with Donald Trump after January 6th. And that set the stage for this narrative to emerge that it wasn't an insurrection, that instead these were innocent people. And now it's, transitioned into this talk of these individuals being political prisoners. I think it's very worrying. And in that other story, Alex, that you point out, there is a lack of remorse. And that lack of remorse has actually evolved into this feeling of retribution towards the American justice system for holding these people accountable. And I think it's really dangerous for law and order in this country. You've
got to wonder if that Proud Boys member who got 6 years will feel the same way. Oh, I'd do 100 years after, I don't know, 6 months. We will see. But let's talk about Stephanie Grisham. Of course, you know, Trump's former White House press secretary, who said that there were times, quote, when one person or more would advise him that his words could potentially cause violence. And he would just wave his hand at you like he was swatting away a fly, as if to say whatever or shut up. Has this irresponsible attitude, Miles, towards violence, has it spread through, you think, the rest of the Republican Party? I mean, you cite Liz Cheney's book, what she was sensing 2 weeks later. But really, has it permeated the party?
Unfortunately, Alex, I think it has. And I say this without even a note of politicism in my motivation. You can just draw a direct line between the rhetoric and the data showing a huge spike in political intimidation and violence. And we're seeing it around the country. And it's not just hypothetical. We look at what happened in El Paso with the shooting at the Walmart several years ago, where the shooter parroted Donald Trump's rhetoric about an invasion at the southern border as the reason he went in and killed many Latinos who were in the Walmart. We saw it with the Buffalo shooter in New York, who cited the great replacement theory that has again been spread by Republican leaders. He used that as justification to go into a grocery store and to kill Black Americans. And we've seen it as the justification for these individuals who've been arrested for making death threats to members of Congress, death threats to judges around the country. That rhetoric from political leaders is becoming their justification for violence. And I worry about that spilling over in 2024 in a way that we can't contain.
Given this new position you have, co-founder of the Future U.S., I want to talk about the dangers of AI to the election. Ahead of Tuesday's New Hampshire primaries, you well know residents got AI-generated robocalls. They were impersonating President Biden, telling them not to vote in the primary. And the Future U.S. has a PSA that predicted practically this exact same scenario. Let's listen to part of that. Here it is, everyone.
Hi, it's Reverend Jones from the church calling.
Hi, Reverend. What's going on?
Well, your sister asked me to reach out.
Luis, what's up, buddy? It's Danny from the office.
Hey, Care Bear. It's Mom.
Looks like they closed the local polls early.
This is your president speaking. Due to a failure in our polling technology, I am using my executive powers to extend the election period. All Americans will have an extra 48 hours to cast their ballots.
At the end of that PSA, you put up a post that says this was all AI generated. It sounded exactly like Joe Biden. What is the message you want to get across, Miles? And what do you think this big challenge is this year with AI in our election?
Well, Alex, I think this is one of the biggest wild cards in 2024 that your average American is not paying attention to. They know that the contest between Trump and Biden is going to be very contentious. They know that the overall political climate is going to be contentious, but most Americans, I think, don't yet appreciate how much artificial intelligence enabled attacks are going to impact this year's election. And we did that clip. In fact, we conceived of that public service announcement almost 6 months ago, thinking that it wouldn't be until closer to November that we would see deep fake robocalls impacting our election. And now, like you noted, we just saw that in New Hampshire with a deep fake robocall Joe Biden, but it's going to get more difficult to thwart because we think we're going to see these interactive deep fake robocalls where the recipients of the phone calls aren't going to know that they're on the phone with someone who might discourage them from going to the polls, who might spread disinformation about militants at the polls. This could go a lot of different directions. And so we're trying to sound the alarm, make Americans aware. And I will say that the Biden administration and CISA at DHS is doing a really good job of staying on top of the threat. But I'm hearing a lot from local officials who feel like they are not prepared. So we're doing our best to try to prepare them in the lead up to November to make them aware of these new threats and the deluge of deepfakes we expect to see. But there's a lot of work to be done between now and election day.
Yeah, it is downright scary. So you keep on keeping on, Miles Taylor. Thank you, my friend. Good to see you.
Into the war room to see you, so I had to hack my way onto this frequency.
This better be critical, Lily.
So, come on, what is it now, please? Okay, couple of things. I'm running low on the dough. I was thinking about taking a couple of months sick leave, maybe starting today. And, oh yeah, I intercepted a transmission from Megatron.
Then send it through.
Yes, sir, right away, sir. And so I was so dang weird, caught on the other stuff.
This is your last warning, insects. Relinquish what remains of the Allspark.
So who's the insect? You? What? Who's the insect?
Protect you. They were defeated on our world, and we will defeat them here.
This was just a diversion. Security, please bring up. Rabbit, she's already inside. Deeds! Give me an update on that reserve. Boss readiness. What was his name? What was it?
Evac, sir.
Right, evac.
She's right in front.
We are facing a heavy sustained attack. They appear to be after the Allspark. General! General! Immediately evacuate. Hold on. National security advisory. Stay down. Check it out. Failed their mission celebrations. The amateurs are suicide mission.